The coffee shop smelled like cinnamon and second chances. Marcus wiped down the counter for the third time that morning, his calloused hands moving in practiced circles while his 6-year-old daughter, Lily, colored at a corner table. Outside, the Seattle rain painted gray streaks down the windows, and somewhere in that downpour was a woman. He'd been helping for 3 months without knowing she was about to change his life forever. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where it all began. Marcus Chen had learned about loss the hard way. 2 years ago, his wife Sarah had died in a car accident, leaving him alone with a 5-year-old who still asked when Mommy was coming home. The grief had been a living thing, clawing at his chest every morning when he opened his eyes. But grief was a luxury he couldn't afford. Lily needed breakfast, clean clothes, and a father who could smile even when his heart was in pieces. So Marcus smiled. He worked double shifts at the hospital as a nurse, picked up weekend hours at his friend's coffee shop, and became an expert at braiding hair through YouTube videos at 2 in the morning. Life wasn't easy, but it was theirs, and that had to be enough. It was a Tuesday morning in October when he first saw her. The woman stumbled into the coffee shop just after 6, soaked to the bone, her clothes hanging off her frame like she'd lost significant weight recently. Her hair was matted, her face was hidden behind overgrown bangs, and she carried everything she owned in a torn backpack that dripped water onto the floor. "We're not open yet," Marcus started to say, but something stopped him. Maybe it was the way her shoulders shook, or the hollow look in her eyes that he recognized from his own mirror. Whatever it was, he found himself saying instead, "But I can make an exception. What can I get you?" She looked up, surprised, and for just a moment, he thought he saw something familiar in her face. But then she ducked her head again, mumbling, "I don't have any money. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have come in." "Hey," Marcus said softly, the same tone he used when Lily had nightmares. "How about a coffee on the house? And I just happen to have an extra breakfast sandwich. Lily over there," he nodded toward his daughter, "insists I make 2 every morning, but she only ever eats 1. It was a lie, of course. Marcus barely had enough to cover their own bills, but something in his gut told him this woman needed help more than he needed those $5. She hesitated, then nodded, and Marcus watched her cradle that cup of coffee like it was liquid gold. She sat in the corner farthest from everyone, making herself as small as possible, and when she left, she whispered a thank you so quiet he almost missed it. He didn't expect to see her again. But the next morning there she was, standing outside in the rain before the shop opened. And the morning after that, and the one after that, a pattern emerged. Every day she'd arrive just before 6, and Marcus would let her in early. He'd make her coffee, share his extra breakfast sandwich, and never ask questions. Sometimes they'd talk, small things, like the weather or Lily's latest drawing, but mostly, they'd exist in comfortable silence while the city woke up around them. "Why do you help her?" his friend Danny asked one morning after the woman had left. "Man, you're barely making ends meet yourself." Marcus shrugged, watching Lily share her crayons with another kid. "Because someone would have helped Sarah if she needed it. Because that could be someone's daughter, someone's wife, someone's sister. Because it's the right thing to do." What Marcus didn't tell Danny was that helping her helped him too. There was something healing about being needed, about having a purpose beyond just surviving. Every morning, watching her face brighten slightly when she walked in, seeing her begin to hold her head a little higher, it reminded him that kindness wasn't dead, that the world could still be gentle. Weeks turned into months. Marcus learned small things about her. Her name was Emma. She used to work in business but had lost her job. She was sleeping in a shelter downtown when beds were available, and under bridges when they weren't. She never talked about her past, and Marcus never pushed. Everyone had their reasons for the walls they built. What he did notice was the change. Slowly, Emma started to look healthier. Her eyes became clearer. She spent her days at the library, using their computers, and she'd mentioned applying for jobs. Marcus had even slipped her a $50 bill once, pretending a customer had left it behind. The look on her face had nearly broken his heart. Then came that morning in early January. Marcus was running late. Lily had a fever, and he'd been up all night monitoring her temperature. He rushed into the coffee shop at 5:50, and there was Emma, standing in her usual spot outside. But something was different. She was wearing clean clothes. Her hair was styled. She stood up straight, and when she saw him, she smiled. Not the tentative, broken smile he'd gotten used to, but a real, genuine smile that transformed her entire face. Marcus unlocked the door, confused. "Emma, you look different," she finished, stepping inside. "Marcus, we need to talk." His stomach dropped. Was she leaving? Had she found a job in another city? He realized with a start how much he'd missed their morning routine, how much she'd become part of his life. "I need to tell you something," Emma said. And now he could see she was nervous, her hands clasping and unclasping. "I haven't been entirely honest with you." Marcus felt Lily's small hand slip into his. His daughter had insisted on coming despite her fever, and now she pressed against his leg, sensing the tension in the room. Emma took a deep breath. "My full name is Emma Richardson, and 3 months ago I was the CEO of Richardson Technologies." The words hung in the air like smoke. Marcus blinked, processing. Richardson Technologies, the tech giant worth billions, the company whose name was on half the buildings downtown. "I don't understand," he managed. "I had a breakdown," Emma said quietly, looking at her hands. "The pressure, the expectations, the constant performance. My company went public, we grew too fast, and I couldn't handle it. I started making mistakes, big ones. The board pushed me out, and I fell apart completely. Lost my condo, my car, my friends. Everyone disappeared when the money did. I ended up on the streets, and I couldn't even remember who I was anymore." She looked up at him, and her eyes were bright with unshed tears. "But then I found this place." "Found you. And every morning, you treated me like a human being. Not a failure, not a headline, not a cautionary tale. Just a person who needed help. You gave me back my dignity, Marcus. You gave me a reason to keep going." Marcus didn't know what to say. His mind was reeling, trying to reconcile the broken woman. He'd been helping with the powerful CEO she'd once been. "Last week I reconnected with my mentor," Emma continued. "He helped me get treatment, proper treatment. He helped me see that mental health isn't weakness, it's just health. And he helped me realize something else." She paused, pulling out her phone and showing him a photo. "You don't remember me, do you?" The photo showed a hospital room. A younger Marcus, maybe 7 years ago, standing beside a patient bed. And in that bed, recovering from what looked like a serious surgery, was Emma, though her hair was different and she was heavier, and she was smiling at the camera with Marcus beside her. "You were my nurse," Emma whispered. 7 years ago, when I had an emergency appendectomy. I was terrified, alone. I'd just moved to Seattle and didn't know anyone. My company was still small, and I was working 100-hour weeks. And you stayed with me through the worst of it, held my hand when I was scared, made jokes when I felt like giving up. You probably don't remember because you do that for everyone, but I never forgot. The memory came back in pieces. The young woman who'd been so scared, who'd had no family to call. He'd pulled a double shift to make sure she wasn't alone. It had been just another day at work for him, another patient who needed comfort. When I ended up on the streets, Emma continued, I wandered for weeks in a daze. But something drew me to this neighborhood, to this coffee shop. And when I saw you here, I thought maybe it was a sign. Maybe the universe was giving me a chance to be helped by the same person who'd helped me before. But I was too ashamed to tell you who I was, what I'd been. Marcus felt tears streaming down his face. Lily was crying too, though she probably didn't fully understand why. Marcus, Emma said, her voice stronger now, I've spent the last week putting my life back together. I'm not going back to Richardson Tech. That chapter's closed. But I'm starting something new. A foundation dedicated to helping people experiencing homelessness, especially those dealing with mental health crises. And I want you to be part of it. She pulled out an envelope and handed it to him. This is a job offer. Director of Community Outreach. It's a real salary, benefits, better hours so you can spend more time with Lily. But more than that, it's a chance to do what you do naturally, help people, but on a bigger scale. We can create warming centers, fund mental health services, provide job training. We can be the help I needed, the help you gave me. Marcus stared at the envelope, his hands shaking. Emma, I'm just a nurse. I pour coffee on weekends. I don't know anything about running programs or foundations. You know about compassion, Emma said firmly. You know about seeing people, really seeing them. That's rarer than you think. And it's exactly what we need. She knelt down to Lily's level. And I promise, sweetheart, this job means your daddy will be home for dinner every night. Lily looked up at Marcus with those big, brown eyes that were so much like Sarah's. "Can we help people like you helped?" "Miss Emma, Daddy." And there it was. The answer had been in front of him all along. Sarah had always said that kindness was never wasted, that every small act of goodness created ripples that spread farther than you could see. She'd been right. A cup of coffee and a breakfast sandwich had turned into this, a chance to honor her memory by helping countless others. "Yes," Marcus said, his voice breaking. "Yes, we can." Emma stood, wiping her own tears. "There's one more thing. I've already made arrangements to fund college, accounts for children of single, parents in need. Lily's education is taken care of through PhD if she wants it. It's not charity, Marcus. It's paying forward what you gave me when I had nothing." The three of them stood there in that small coffee shop as morning light finally broke through the Seattle clouds, painting everything gold. Outside, the city was waking up, full of people rushing to their lives, each carrying their own hidden struggles, their own secret pain. But in here, in this moment, there was hope. There was proof that one person's kindness could change everything, that seeing someone's humanity, treating them with dignity, offering help without judgment, these weren't small things. They were everything. Marcus pulled Emma into a hug, and Lily wrapped her small arms around both of them. "Thank you," he whispered, "for remembering, for coming back." "Thank you for never forgetting how to be kind," Emma replied, "even when life gave you every reason to be bitter." 6 months later, the Richardson Foundation had opened 3 community centers across Seattle. Marcus had hired a team of social workers, counselors, and volunteers. They served hot meals, provided showers and clean clothes, offered job training and mental health services. Every morning, Marcus would arrive early, and sometimes Emma would meet him there, both of them serving coffee to people who needed someone to see them, really see them. Lily had become the unofficial mascot, sharing her toys and drawings with the children who came through the doors. And on the wall of every center, there was a simple plaque that read, "Kindness is never wasted. It always comes back." One morning, as Marcus watched Emma counsel a young woman who reminded him of how they'd met, he felt Sarah's presence like warm sunshine. She'd known somehow that his gift was never the grand gesture but the daily choice to show up, to care, to help. And that gift had saved Emma's life, which in turn had transformed his. The coffee still smelled like cinnamon and second chances. But now it also smelled like hope, like redemption, like the beautiful truth that we're all just one act of kindness away from changing someone's world. And sometimes, if we're lucky, they change ours right back.